Hi everybody, it's Grace. Welcome to Eating Peace this week. So if you got a chance to watch the masterclass that I put together with 7 different sort of barriers and then solutions to those that all add up together to be practices for working with becoming more peaceful about your eating or really any compulsion. If you got a chance to watch this, a little bit of it might be repetitive. But I really wanted to share a little more about mindset or the attitude. There's so much talk about mindset, isn't there? It's been going on for a while. If you change your mindset about money, if you change your mindset about your body, and you change your mindset about food and eating, and of course, that is absolutely valid. If I am believing that life is good and my day is wonderful and everyone loves me and, all food works really well in my whole system, and that I'm the perfect weight, and I just feel lively and no extra necessary avoidance or comfort is required from food or eating, or if I don't eat when I'm anxious. Of course, if I feel all those good feeling things, of course I'm not going to eat. Makes sense, my mind, but just to get all the way there is tricky. It's really tricky because one thing that I've shared is when you do have really upset and troubling emotions like anger, sadness, anxiety, grief, fury, frustration, when you feel cut off and separate from someone else, if somebody's hurt your feelings, maybe you've hurt someone else's feelings, if those things that are going on happen, you're very affected and your mind is probably sort of repeating and rehearsing them and thinking about them and trying to bring it to a resolve. It's very natural. And that is so normal. It's part of the human condition. So you're never going to not have experiences that you bump up into, that create some sort of discord on the inside, right? Like there's trouble in paradise, or I love the Star Wars one, like there's been a break in the Force, right? Something has moved me in the Force. So, a disturbance in the Force. There we go. How could I forget? So those things are going to happen. And here's the interesting thing to do with that is maybe a little bit easier than trying to change the whole kit and caboodle and feel like you need to just be positive at all times, because that's going to be impossible. Really frustrating in itself if you begin to have that belief. I just need to be so positive and confident and solid and full of, commitment and willpower and integrity and stay on my diet plan or whatever. No, doesn't work. You're not alone. That's maybe trying to turn the dial a little bit too far, all the way over to the edge, and remain in this sort of happy place at all times. Impossible. What I find to be far more true, and I'm sure you all see it too, is that there's a mind that's got preferences, and it's going to be talking in ways of negativity and positivity constantly. There's a voice. You could all hear it. It talks to you, Your mind has commentary. Sometimes it's actually got the pronoun, it's like you, as if something is actually talking to you. You shouldn't do that. What's wrong with you? Isn't that funny? There's a voice that's actually saying, what's wrong with you? Why are you eating that? You don't really want that. Remember, you should stick. So it's got like this voice that is as if it's coming from outside of you using the you pronoun. Isn't that funny? It's just that you sort of so embodied what you hear in your reality, and that you're actually so connected with the outside reality that you can talk to yourself. And then who's the I that's listening to this? Who's hearing it? Well, here is a very simple way to be with, I suppose, mindset. It's like have a relationship with that mind, even if it's just going ballistic and bananas and totally disturbing the force, all right? There it is, talking or yelling or shouting, oh my God, I gotta go get that thing to eat. I gotta eat right now. I'm gonna sneak away from this party and eat my head off. Or you might be just right there, eating and eating while you're talking to somebody and sort of unconsciously eating another bite and another bite. It can be around people, it can be on your own. I have had both experiences. Um, Even if the mind, here's the interesting thing, even if the mind is talking and being negative, do you have to do what it says? This you? I mean, the mind is usually talking like, who's the I? Does that thing that we're referring to as maybe the I, the center of you, the part that's open, it's very unconditional. It's there whether you're thinking or not. It's there all night while you're sleeping. There's something that's just waiting, being, hard to describe, this inner sense of self. And the mind is happening inside the space of that. It's happening, the mind is going, but notice that you don't do everything the mind says. I mean, you get really off on tangents sometimes and you follow it, like, I have got to go do that. Oh, that's a good idea. I think I'll do it. You're right. I need to keep eating this ice cream, But you don't actually follow it all the time, and you don't have to do what it says. There's a part of you that is bigger and broader and able to hold still, even if the mind is actually feels like it's screaming at you on the inside. You can interrupt that by just not doing anything. I know it's strange. It's the do nothing approach. Do nothing. But I have felt urges and desires, and I once smoked cigarettes, for example, and every so often I can walk by somebody who's smoking and breathe it in and think, oh my God, that smells so good. Isn't that funny? Because other times I think it smells awful. And, sort of wish, or it's like a fleeting moment. It's hardly anything I can believe at all because I don't care much about it, but it's there for a second, like this, oh yeah, just these brief fleeting moments. Finding something in the middle, like a balance in the middle, is just the most wonderful, relieving thing. First of all, you don't have to listen to the negativity. You also don't have to listen to all the wild, screeching, yelling, excited, celebratory kind of intense positive feelings either. Moving in the middle way, kind of in the middle of the path, going down the center of the aisle, and then just finding what's connected to that place that's just simply being and nothing is required. You don't have to do anything. If you've heard any of my other videos or read Grace Notes or anything, I love the Tao Te Ching, and I suppose this could be the Taoist approach to ending your compulsions. But one of the Tao messages is number 43, and I'll read it to you today. The gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing in the world. That which has no substance enters where there is no space. This shows the value of non-action. Teaching without words, performing without actions, that is the master's way. You can be your own master with yourself. There's some part of you that's like a student, and there's a part of you that's like a master. Teaching without words, performing without actions, that is the master's way. That's why no one comes in and, stops you as you're on your way to the refrigerator. There's no words, there's no actions demanded. But this is part of you, this place that can rest. And not so much mindset. Maybe your mind doesn't even have to change. What a relief. I suppose the one way it would need awareness that would need to come in is a sense of knowing that the mind is not the king. The mind, if somebody said, climb up on your roof and jump off right now, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't listen to everything that mind has to say. Of course, that's somebody else talking to you. But, the things that you say, maybe I'll just quit everything. Maybe I'll give up XYZ. I'll go ahead and eat such and such. Well, when you've done it and you've followed that that path, and then there's times when you haven't. Very important to notice. But isn't this exciting? The gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest things. You know, that hard mind that's so intense, punching, you better commit, you stay on this path, don't follow. The one that's like that, very determined, very full of will. The gentlest thing in the world overcomes that. The hardest thing in the world, the gentlest thing. Just sitting still and taking a deep breath and doing nothing. What if you just sat down when your mind starts yelling at you? That the only way to feel better is to eat some food or to keep the meal going. And that which has no substance enters where there is no space. That which has no substance, which is really almost all that we're talking about here. There's the energy of fear or emptiness or some kind of harshness that's hard. Letting what is very soft and patient and slow, just waiting, just sit down. You can sit on your hands if you need to. Just put your hands underneath your legs and sit on them. And just wait. And then you can begin to ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of in this moment? What is so scary that I would be moved to eat, overeat, or smoke, or drink alcohol, or use drugs, or do whatever needs to happen to cloud my perceptions or change my mood or my feelings? And can I be with this fear without actually needing to do anything? That's the very soft way. So ultimately, I suppose it's not so much a mindset, although that the way your mind is set and learned is what's happening, all your thoughts and how they arise, but just allowing yourself to move into a being, even if your mind is just going nuts. Let it go nuts. If the inside of you, you're shouting words to yourself right now, you don't have to actually do it. No one forces you to go start eating food when you aren't hungry. You actually have to get up out of your chair or get up and move into where there's an area where there's food. You have to use money to buy the food. You have to obtain it and acquire it. And, maybe it's right around there, but no one actually puts your hand out to reach for the food. And don't use that as a criticism of yourself. Oh yeah, there must be something really wrong with me because I go ahead and go for it. You just don't know any other way, and maybe you haven't tried sitting still, sitting on your hands. Just try doing it for like 5 minutes if you ever feel a strong compulsion. And then you can begin to ask yourself, why am I afraid right now? What's so scary? What's the worst that could happen if I sit still? Okay. Let me know how it goes, everybody.